Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, Mavericks and everyone from around the globe. They've closed the door. Case closed on the Epstein client list. Well, maybe. A lot of people pretty upset about that. Also, tonight, Premiers Doug Ford of Ontario and Danielle Smith of Alberta have come to a new agreement. They have a memorandum of understanding, paving the way to a new trading relationship. And they are calling jointly on the federal government, Mark Carney, Prime Minister, to roll back Canada's EV mandate. Speaking of trade, Trump issuing a flurry of letters delaying tariffs, but announcing that any country that aligns itself with BRICS trading practices will face an additional 10% tariff. So we have that for you tonight too. What else? Oh, and then we're going to go to the Truspiracy files. And we're going to talk about Plandemic 2.0 and Dr. David Martin. We have that for you. So we have all that, a whole lot more coming up, plus the Texas floods. We'll update you on that as well when we come back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So first up tonight, we're going to save the Epstein stuff for later. We're also going to talk about immigration and Canadians being detained by ICE tonight. First up, though, I think it's only appropriate that we talk about the situation in Texas. Obviously, devastating floods in central Texas. Still a major concern as of this evening. The death toll from the catastrophic flash floods that struck the Texas Hill Country over the 4th of July weekend has climbed to at least 104, with dozens still missing. Kerr County, northwest of San Antonio, has been hit hardest, reporting 84 deaths, including 28 children. The Guadalupe River, swollen by up to 11 inches of rain in just hours, rose 26 feet in under 45 minutes. We showed you the video last night. The results have been, and the consequences, catastrophic, sweeping away homes, vehicles, and tragically lives, including at least 27 people from Camp Mystic, a Christian summer camp for girls. 10 campers and one counselor remain unaccounted for this evening as search and rescue efforts continue. And with that, we begin the broadcast tonight with this Twitter scroll or X scroll, where the loss of those young lives is front and center. Here's a post saying, "My heart breaks for the families who have tragically lost their little girls. I am praying for everyone who perished in the Texas flash flood. I can't fathom the grief." That from Carrie K. This is picture this entire cabin of sweet little girls and their 2 counselors washed away. Several bodies have been recovered. Several are still missing. Praying hard that they find survivors, and praying extra hard for the families who are living a parent's worst nightmare. And as we work down the Twitter feed here, we see that on Good Morning America this morning, we have this interview with a gentleman who I believe works for Homeland Security or Coast Guard. This is Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin. It's Homeland Security shared this information about Scott Ruskin, I should say. And this is what he had to say on Good Morning America.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So I'll kind of give you guys a quick synopsis of what was going on. The Coast Guard launched us and decided to send a rescue crew from Air Station Corpus Christi at about 6:30, 7 a.m. on Friday, the 4th of July. I just happened to be on the duty crew with Ian Hopper, Blair Rougefort, Seth Reeves, some of our crew members in the Coast Guard. And they sent us out. We kind of encountered some pretty serious weather, some of the worst flying we've ever dealt with personally. It took us, which should have been an hour flight, probably took us about 7 or 8 just to get into the landing zone. Once made about 4 different approaches trying to get in, we were able to get boots on the ground with the Air National Guard, Department of Public Safety for Texas, game wardens. And we decided to leave me on scene at Camp Mystic. That was kind of our main triage site we were trying to help out with. And we decided, hey, if we leave the rescue swimmer on scene, we'll have more space in our Dolphin MH-65. So based on that, I got on scene, boots on the ground at Camp Mystic. Kind of discovered I was the only person there as far as like first responders go. So yeah, I had about 200 kids mostly, all scared, terrified, cold, having probably the worst day of their life, and I just kind of needed to triage them, get them to a higher level of care, and get them off the flood zone with a lot of the US-60 Army helicopters.
Talk about how that works. You got 165, close to 200 kids there. How do you get them out? Just one by one?
Yeah, sir, it's a great question. So the United States Army National Guard was landing their 60s with Task Force 1, some of their rescue swimmers, and they were able to land. We kind of came up with 2 different landing zones. There was one off an archery field and then one at a soccer field. So yeah, we were able to kind of land those 60s in there. And then I was kind of the main guy as far as like grabbing people, usually like 15 to 10 kids at a time, maybe one adult with them, and bringing them over to those 60s and getting them to a different LZ that was kind of safe and had more first responders than just myself out there.
Had you ever done this before?
No, this is my first one. I haven't had any cases before. I've been a rescue swimmer for about a year, fully trained for about 6 months. So yeah, this is my first experience, but I really just kind of relied on the training we get. Coast Guard rescue swimmers get some of the highest level training in the world. So really just kind of relied on that, and that, just knowing that any of the rescue swimmers in the Coast Guard would have done the exact same, if not better than me. So
training is one thing, but this was the real deal.
Yeah, this is definitely the real deal, but I just remembered that, when I got on scene, there was, 200 kids looking to someone for some sort of comfort and safety. They don't really know what my experience is or my rank or my age. They just know, hey, this guy's a professional and he's here to help us, and I kind of had to live up to that standard. But yeah, the real heroes, I think, were the kids on the ground. Like, those guys are heroic, and they were dealing with some of the worst times of their lives, and they were staying strong, and that helped inspire me to kind of get in there and help them out.
Well, you sure stayed strong as well. Thank you for joining us this morning. Congratulations on a job well done.
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
And there he is again. Yeah, Homeland Security reposting this, calling him an American hero. Thank you, Mr. Ruskin, for a job well done. And you can see, again, we showed you this image last night, devastating. This will affect many for the rest of their lives, and it will make an impact on the entire nation. Keep scrolling down here, and then again I'll show you this aerial footage of the river running right through. And I'll show you this. Incredible. This is like as the water began to rush through. 9 minutes in. So look at this. That's what it looked like to begin with. 9 minutes later. Sorry, that's 12 minutes. That's 12 minutes in. 26 feet, 45 minutes. There's the bridge that was, remember, 26 feet below is where the bottom was before, and it swelled all the way up to the top of this bridge in like 20. All right, you'll be wise to get off that bridge, folks. That house, yeah, we showed you this. There it is again. Image of the house.
Wow, there's a cat in there.
So this is just one small clip of
There's a cat.
Devastation. That's somebody's home. 6 minutes in. 7. And it is not over. It's not over. And a lot of blame, a lot of finger pointing going on. A lot of criticism leveled at the Trump administration for the way funds have been reallocated, cuts to some programs, including, as we indicated last night, to the National Weather Service. Here's a call to activism saying, oh my God, Caroline Leavitt just had a full tantrum and blamed Democrats for politicizing the flood in Texas. She claimed the National Weather Services were actually overstaffed in Texas. Ample reporting shows the exact opposite. It was understaffed. Leavitt is a liar.
Democrat elected officials are trying to turn this into a political game, and it is not. This is a national tragedy, and the administration is treating it as such. We know the National Weather Service provided early and consistent warnings. They gave out timely flash flood alerts. There were record-breaking lead times in the lead up to this catastrophe. There is ongoing flood monitoring, and these offices were well staffed. In fact, one of the offices was actually overstaffed. They had more people than they need. So any claim to the contrary is completely false, and it's just sad that people are pushing these lies. Democrat elected officials are trying to turn.
But, we've seen reports to the contrary. Let's go to the White House, to today's news conference, and we'll pick it up from the beginning because that was the topic of the day, leading the discussion as Leavitt addressed questions from the media today. But this was her opening statement at the White House just a few hours ago. Here we go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all had a great weekend. I want to start by addressing the devastation from the tragic flash floods in Texas. Moments ago, the Department of Homeland Security provided an update that 91 innocent souls have now perished. Everyone here at the White House, including the President of the United States, is praying for the victims' families and friends during this unimaginable time. President Trump swiftly signed a major disaster declaration for Kerr County, Texas, to ensure our heroic first responders have every resource they need in the relief and recovery efforts. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem traveled to Texas over the weekend, and the entire Trump administration is working hand in glove with state and local officials to provide every assistance available. The situation on the ground remains dangerous, and there could be additional public safety threats with potential incoming heavy rain. So we encourage everyone in the area to remain vigilant, listen to all warnings, and respond accordingly. Unfortunately, in the wake of this once-in-a-generation natural disaster, we have seen many falsehoods pushed by Democrats such as Senator Chuck Schumer and some members of the media. Blaming President Trump for these floods is a depraved lie, and it serves no purpose during this time of national mourning. Here are the facts. In the lead up to this tragic natural disaster, the National Weather Service did its job. Despite unprecedented rainfall, the National Weather Service executed timely and precise forecasts and warnings. On July 3rd, the National Weather Service office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon. Flash flood warnings were also issued on the night of July 3rd and in the early morning of July 4th, giving preliminary lead times of more than 3 hours before flash flooding conditions occurred. And the National Weather Service office in New Braunfels, which delivers forecasts for Austin, San Antonio, and the surrounding areas, had extra staff on duty during the storms, despite claims of the contrary. So to any person who has deliberately lied about these facts surrounding this catastrophic event, you should be deeply ashamed. At this time, the administration's focus will be giving the victims and their communities the support they deserve during these recovery efforts in this tragic time. May God bless the great people of Texas, especially the parents who have lost their children. President Trump loves you. We are praying for you, and he will be traveling to see you later this week. Moving along to some further scheduling announcements. Tonight, President Trump will host the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, for dinner, where they will discuss the positive developments taking place in the Middle East region. Tomorrow, the president will host his 6th cabinet meeting of his 2nd term. Many of you will be invited to cover that. And on Wednesday, the president will host leaders from 5 African nations for lunch in the state dining room. In other news, after the historic signing on the South Lawn of the White House on the 4th of July, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill is now the law of the land. Republicans in Congress met the once-in-a-generation moment and codified the Make America Great Again agenda into law. After this monumental achievement, no other president in modern history has worked harder and faster to fulfill their campaign promises than Donald Trump. The One Big Beautiful Bill will get the United States of America firing again on all cylinders. It's safe to say that over the past few weeks, the president has delivered on many, many wins. For the 4th month in a row, jobs numbers beat market expectations with nearly 150,000 good jobs created in the month of June. The American economy has now added nearly 700,000 jobs since January 2025, with American-born workers accounting for all job gains. President Trump drove illegal border crossings to another historic low in the month of June, and Border Patrol once again released 0 illegal aliens into our country. The Supreme Court stopped activist judges from imposing nationwide injunctions and cleared the way for President Trump to carry out his popular and common sense agenda. The University of Pennsylvania agreed to all of the Trump administration's demands and will now keep men out of women's sports. President Trump secured his trade deal with Vietnam, giving the United States total access to their markets. Because of President Trump's unleashing American energy dominance, gas prices are at 4-year lows. And when adjusted for inflation, gas prices are near the lowest levels we've seen in the last 20 years.
Okay, so we'll just stop there for a moment. I will say that yesterday I was talking about what was the price of gasoline here yesterday? $1.19 a liter. Okay, 3.74 liters in a gallon. $1.19 Canadian. I won't do the math. It gets a little complicated when you're converting to U.S. funds. But I was out today running more errands, taking care of business, and I noticed the price of gas actually went down another 2 cents. It was $1.17 in my town. So that's good news. It's good news for consumers, good news for the economy. Energy drives the economy. That being said, today, a new era is emerging in Canada. And this is largely a response to what Trump is doing. Has not been a positive thing for Canada. I wouldn't say that, at least not the experience, but the impact overall, I think in the long run probably is going to be positive. So I'm optimistic about things, and there's a lot of things to be optimistic about today, a lot of things to be happy about, and one of the things is this meeting between Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. A lot of smiling faces as they signed a memorandum of understanding, paving the way to a new trading relationship, breaking down interprovincial barriers, allowing freer trade within Canada as a response to Trump's tariffs. In addition to that, today, Smith and Ford both called for an end to Canada's EV, electric vehicle mandate. They both appealed to Prime Minister Mark Carney. Let's go to the official announcement. This is the way it went down.
Who is Ontario's Minister of Energy and Mines, the Honourable Kingasurma, Ontario's Minister of Infrastructure, and MPP Will Boma, the Parliamentary Assistant to the Premier, Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation,
all the people
Minister
who are there
of Intergovernmental
today.
Affairs and Minister of Northern Economic Development and Growth to Alberta. He's got a very long title.
Thompson.
And Minister Thompson as well.
And this is a big deal for all of our American
the Premier
viewers.
tell you a little bit more about his portfolios. Oh, gosh.
This is about oil,
Mr.
Alberta
Cutler, he's gonna
oil,
go. I'd also
energy,
like to acknowledge Alberta's
the auto
Minister of Energy
industry,
and Minerals, the Honourable Brian Jean, we've got
state
Alberta's
issues,
Minister of Jobs,
separatism.
Economy, Trade and Immigration, the Honourable Joseph Scow, Alberta's Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, the Honourable Devin Dreeshen, and Alberta's Minister of Infrastructure.
And I know a lot of
the
Americans
Honourable
don't care
Martin Long
about
are here as well. Did I
Canada,
miss
don't
any of my
know,
people?
not informed.
All right, I think we've got a few more that
ties
are
right
outside
in.
as well.
The
We're
51st
also joined
state
by
from
guests
USA.
from energy companies that have strong ties in both Alberta and Ontario. And today marks an important step forward in uniting our country as Alberta joins forces with Ontario to pursue our shared goals of economic growth, opportunity and prosperity. We're signing 2 memorandums of understanding that will see us advance pipelines and pathways to boost exports of homegrown energy and critical minerals to markets across Canada and across the world, and work collaboratively to support both Ontario's automotive industry as well as Alberta's liquor manufacturing industry, industries that contribute substantially to our provincial economies. The first of these agreements formalizes our commitment to working together to maximize the economic value of Canada's energy resources and enhance Canada's energy security and global competitiveness. We're uniting with Ontario to amplify our voices and double down on our efforts to carve a path forward together for Alberta, for Ontario, and for Canada. Through this agreement, we'll work together to explore ways to improve networks and corridors that better connect our energy and critical minerals to markets here at home, as well as international markets around the globe. We'll focus on supporting industry efforts to build oil and gas pipelines and refining, processing, and supply chains for energy and critical minerals between Alberta and Ontario. We'll work towards accelerating our exports across industries. And that means we're seeking to add more rail lines to increase capacity and enhance access to ports, including to sites in James Bay and southern Ontario. And we will share expertise to advance development of nuclear energy solutions so our provinces can keep up with the ever-growing demand on Alberta and Ontario's electricity grids. We know there's strength in taking a united front, but we cannot achieve our shared provincial goals without cooperation from the federal government. It's vital that the federal government gets fully on board with creating the conditions necessary to strengthen Canada's economy and competitiveness, improve investor confidence, and grow productivity. Ottawa must answer our calls and remove all federal barriers that have harmed Canada's ability to grow the energy sector and other industries such as mining and manufacturing. And this includes, but is not limited to, repealing or amending the Impact Assessment Act and the oil tanker ban. We're also working to repeal the net zero power regulations and the proposed oil and gas production cap. We also call on the federal government to repeal their electric vehicle mandate that comes into effect next year. Last year, only 4.2% of the cars sold in Alberta were zero-emission vehicles. And the federal government's EV mandate says that 20% of cars sold in 2026 must be zero-emissions vehicles. We buy about 200,000 cars, so that would be about 40,000 cars. So we would have to buy nearly every single zero-emission vehicle manufactured in Ontario last year to hit the 20% target, and we're just one province. So removing federal barriers will allow Alberta and Ontario to attract investment and project partners we need to get shovels in the ground, grow industries, and create jobs. I'm excited to continue collaborating with Ontario so we can reach our shared goals, including to advance pipelines and responsible energy development. I am also pleased to partner with Premier Ford to support the growth of two other major industries of significance to Alberta and Ontario. The second Memorandum of Understanding outlines Alberta's commitment to explore ways to prioritize the purchase of made-in-Canada vehicles for our government fleets in a show of support for Ontario's automotive industry. And it sets the stage for Ontario's government to work with Alberta to explore ways to find additional opportunities to improve the interprovincial trade of liquor products to create even more opportunity for our producers. Today's signing marks an historic partnership founded in a mutual ambition to reach the full potential of our provinces, to grow our list of global customers for our energy resources, and to achieve long-term prosperity for all Canadians. I'll now turn it over to Premier Ford to speak more about today's MOUs.
Well, good morning, everyone, and boy, I've had a great time here in Alberta, and I love Calgary and the people here. There's just an amazing group of folks that live here. It's my pleasure to be here with so many members of our government. I know you run through them. I'm going to run through them one more time. Minister Lecce, Minister Surma, Minister Thompson, Minister Oosterhoff, and PA Will Boma. I want to start by thanking my friend Danielle, Premier Smith. Thank you for hosting us with this great city of Calgary and mine. You know, I got to tell my friends in Ontario, you want to come to a happening place, come to Alberta, come to the Stampede. You're going to have a great time in this beautiful province of Alberta. It's absolutely stunning here. Nothing showcases the wild rose spirit like the Calgary Stampede. The people of Alberta have been such gracious hosts. Thank you for your hospitality. Friends, I'm here with Premier Smith today because it's never been more important for Canadians to stand united from coast to coast to coast. President Trump's tariffs and the economic uncertainty they've created, they're hurting workers and businesses in every part of our great country. Steelmakers and aluminum workers in Ontario and Quebec, fishermen and women in British Columbia and Atlantic Canada, farmers across the prairies, including right here in Alberta, miners across Canada's beautiful north. No region has been spared. In the face of uncertainty, Canadians are coming together to stand up for our country and build a stronger, more united Canada. That's why just a few weeks ago, Premier Smith and I were in Saskatoon to sign a historic agreement to unlock free trade between Alberta and Ontario. Over the last few months, Ontario has signed agreements with a total of 6 provinces to support free trade across Canada. We're doing this because we need to unlock the full potential of our economy. We need to tear down the barriers and red tape that have held us back for far, far too long. We need to make Canada more competitive, more resilient, and more self-reliant. We need to build the future for Canada where we can proudly stand tall, strong, united, and independent, so we can stand up to President Trump's tariffs and anything else that comes our way. That's what brings us here today, to sign 2 new agreements between Alberta and Ontario that will open access to new markets and create thousands of new jobs across Canada. These agreements are transformational. Ontario and Alberta are working together to build new energy and trade infrastructure, including pipelines and rail lines, so we can unlock the full potential of Canada's economy by diversifying our trading partners and bringing our natural resources to new customers and new markets. Built using Ontario steel, new pipelines would connect Western Canadian oil and gas to existing and potential new refineries in Southern Ontario. They will also expand export opportunities, bringing Western oil and gas to new tidewaters right across the world, including by way of a potential new James Bay deep sea port in Northern Ontario. New rail lines would connect Ontario's Ring of Fire region, critical mineral mining projects, and processing facility to Western Canadian ports as we build an end-to-end critical mineral supply chain. This is how we diversify our trading partners. This is how we make ourselves less reliant on the United States. This is how we secure the future of Canada. To move these ambitious projects forward, Ontario and Alberta will soon launch a joint feasibility study to determine the best route for economic and energy corridors, make recommendations on what financing and commercial tools might be needed to de-risk, and learn how we can best support homegrown supply chains, including Ontario's steel sector and our great steel makers. As we build the future of Canada, we will always meet our duty to consult with Indigenous partners and support their involvement with historic funding to help First Nations become equity partners in these nation-building projects. This agreement is a big step forward. To succeed, to build a more competitive, resilient, and self-reliant future, we need the federal government to do its part. We need the federal government to cut red tape and bring regulatory certainty so Canada can attract the kind of private sector investments that will be critical to build this energy and trade infrastructure. No one will build a pipeline to tidewaters if there's a ban on tankers. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard, a ban on tankers. No one will invest in opening a mine if it takes 15 years to get it to yes. It's time to end excuses, and it's time to start building, and we need to start building now. As part of our agreements today, we've also agreed that Alberta will prioritize Canadian-made vehicles for its government's fleets. For our part, Ontario will support the increased availability of Alberta beer, wine, and spirits, and they have some great wine and spirits and beer coming. You could just see it outside. Everyone's having a few cold ones on Ontario store shelves. Friends, this is how we protect Canada. We need to protect together to unlock the country's full potential. We need to build infrastructure that will bind Canada together and support workers in every part of the country. We need to respect and celebrate every province, every territory, and do everything in our power to help workers, businesses, and communities thrive. I'm honored to do my part to help the amazing people of Alberta. And I thank my friend, Premier Smith, for helping the people of Ontario. We're going to keep working to build Canada. We're going to stand united. We're going to protect the true North, strong and free. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Canada. Thank you.
I think I'm going to the far end.
Well, we'll just let it roll while we witness the historic event. It is significant because this is exactly the kind of thing that could actually help keep the country together.
Yeah, you can put them up and then look at these two. First camera here first. Camera here first. Yeah, 3, 2, 1.
There you go.
Get straight, not looking at me, please. Sorry. Straight ahead. That's great. One more.
Will it be enough
Thank you. Great.
over time?
Okay, perfect. We'll do number 2.
Time will tell, I guess.
here. That's perfect. Thank you. That's great. Thank you very much.
Oh, they brought each other presents. What did they get?
Oh, that's a beauty.
Aw.
Thank you.
I don't know what it is. It's something.
I see a lot of Ford Nation people here, so I'm taking this puppy off. Hold on. You're taking my belt off. How do you get this off? Okay, there you go.
Okay. Enough of the fun and games. Back to something serious. This is we're talking about trade here, right? Well, let me bring up the Truth Social feed for Donald Trump. My allergies seem to be bothering me a bit tonight, so I apologize if I keep touching my eyes. They're very itchy. Must be some pollen in the air today. Okay, let's go to the Truth Social feed because Trump is still on the tariff train, issuing letters to how many countries was it? I think it's like over a dozen, about a dozen different countries tonight. Okay, here's his feed, and he's published on Truth Social copies of these letters that he has sent to these different countries about tariffs. So this one is to the president of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Sarajevo. It is a great honor for me to send you this letter, in that it demonstrates the strength and commitment of our trading relationship and the fact that the United States of America has agreed to continue working with Bosnia and Herzegovina despite having a significant trade deficit with your great country. Nevertheless, we have decided to move forward with you, but only with more balanced and fair trade. Therefore, we invite you to participate in the extraordinary economy of the United States, the number one market in the world by far. We have had years to discuss our trading relationship with Bosnia and Herzegovina and have concluded that we must move away from these long-term and very persistent trade deficits engendered by Bosnia and Herzegovina's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers. Our relationship has been, unfortunately, far from reciprocal. Starting on August 1st, 2025, we will charge Bosnia and Herzegovina a tariff of only 30%, and any and all products sent into the United States, separate from all sectoral tariffs, goods transshipped to evade a higher tariff will be subject to that higher tariff. Please understand that the 30% number is far less than what is needed to eliminate the trade deficit disparity we have with your country. As you are aware, there will be no tariff if Bosnia and Herzegovina or companies within your country decide to build or manufacture products within the United States. And in fact, we will do everything possible to get approvals quickly, professionally, and routinely. In other words, in a matter of weeks. Anyway, if you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise them by will be added on to the 30% that we charge. Please understand that these tariffs are necessary to correct the many years of Bosnia and Herzegovina's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, causing this unsustainable trade deficits against the United States. This deficit is a major threat to our economy and indeed our national security. We look forward to working with you as your trading partner for many years to come. If you wish to open your heretofore closed trading markets to the United States and eliminate your tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, we will perhaps consider an adjustment to this letter. These tariffs may be modified upward or downward depending on our relationship with your country. You will never be disappointed with the United States of America. No? Oh. You might want to ask Vladimir Zelensky, since he entered into a minerals deal, hoping to get some support promised by the previous administration, and now it looks like no one's even talking about Ukraine. Suddenly, it's just not even in the headlines. Not very much. So this one is to Bangkok in Thailand, and what other countries are receiving them tonight? This is to the Prime Minister of Cambodia. This one is to the President of the Republic of Serbia, Belgrade. This one is to Bangladesh, Indonesia, Tunisia. Myanmar. Are there any others? Here we go. Vietnam. South Africa. Pretoria. Malaysia. That's also Malaysia. Posted twice. South Korea. Japan. And speaking of Trump, well, this is him responding to Elon Musk. I'm saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck, he says. Over the past 5 weeks, he even wants to start a third political party, despite the fact that they have never succeeded in the United States. The system seems not designed for them. The one thing third parties are good for is the creation of complete and total disruption and chaos. I think that's kind of what we're getting right now, actually, and we have enough of that with the radical left Democrats who have lost their confidence in their minds. Republicans, on the other hand, are a smooth-running machine that just passed the biggest bill of its kind in the history of our country. It is a great bill, but unfortunately for Elon, it eliminates the ridiculous electric vehicle mandate, which would have forced everyone to buy an electric car in a short period of time. Well, Donald, he did give you $270 million, and he was kind of expecting something back, and then you kind of just didn't deliver, I guess. And now you're threatening to turn DOGE, the big Department of Getting Even, Department of Government Efficiency, against him, calling it a big monster that might have to come back and eat Elon. He goes on here and says, I have been strongly opposed to that from the very beginning, the EV mandate. Even though he was plugging Teslas on the front lawn of the White House at one point, people are now allowed to buy whatever they want, gasoline-powered hybrids, which are doing very well, or new technologies as they come about. No more EV mandate. I have campaigned on this for 2 years, and quite honestly, when Elon gave me his total and unquestioned endorsement, I asked him whether or not he knew that I was going to terminate the EV mandate. It was in every speech I made and in every conversation I had. He said he had no problems with that. I was very surprised. Additionally, Elon asked that one of his close friends run NASA, and while I thought his friend was very good, I was surprised to learn that he was a blue-blooded Democrat who had never contributed to a Republican before. Elon probably was also. I also thought it inappropriate that a very close friend of Elon, who is in the space business, run NASA, when NASA is such a big part of Elon's corporate life. My number one charge is to protect the American public and to get them to buy Trump meme coins and Trump cologne. But he is, I guess, concerned about Texas. Let me take a little break. No, I'm not answering any phone call. Okay, so I'm going to take a little break. Then we're going to come back, and Trump addressing what's going on in Texas direct.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, one moment more, just getting a couple of things queued up for you. I'll be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Sorry, a little slow on the draw there tonight. Okay, so Elon has, I don't think he's filed the formal paperwork, but he's declared that he has created this new third political party, the America Party, not on the left, not on the right. He says it's a party that's moving forward. Here's what he's posting online. The America Party isn't left, it isn't right, it's forward for the builders, the doers, the tired majority who want clarity over chaos. America Party is the reset button. Oh, I don't know if you should use that word, Elon. Reset kind of triggers some people these days. Oh, well. Trump. Back to Trump, though. Back to Trump. This is just a clip of him addressing his disaster declaration for Texas. Let's just listen in.
Okay. Are you investigating whether some of the cuts to the federal government left key vacancies at the National Weather Service or in the emergency coordination?
No, they did not. They did. I'll tell you, if you look at that water situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch. Are you planning to visit Texas? Okay.
Are you investigating?
Well, he did blame Biden for like everything before. And things are a little different when you're the guy in charge. And then you're the one taking it on the chin. Yeah, so here's his Truth Social post on that. This is not right from today, but this I'll just show you. I just signed a major disaster declaration, he says, for Kerr County, Texas, to ensure that our brave first responders immediately have the resources they need. These families are enduring an unimaginable tragedy with many lives lost and many still missing. The Trump administration continues to work closely with the state and local leaders Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem was on the ground yesterday with Governor Greg Abbott, who was working hard to help the people of his great state. Our incredible U.S. Coast Guard, together with state first responders, have saved more than 850 lives. God bless the families, and God bless Texas. Okay. Where else are we going tonight? All right. I know you want to get into the Epstein stuff, some of you, and we're going to go there in a moment. I think we go back here, though, for a moment to the tariffs and Caroline Leavitt in today's White House news conference. I do want to let her speak to this because I think that there were some serious questions surrounding this. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure this is the clip we're looking for. So we'll just pivot back to that for a moment and Leavitt today on the tariffs.
Yesterday, that countries will boomerang back to the April 2nd tariff levels starting August 1st. Why did the president decide to have those tariffs not take effect Wednesday as originally scheduled? And then I was also wondering if you could share, obviously we saw the letters the president sent out on Japan and South Korea, but if any other major U.S. trading partners are getting letters today.
Sure, yes, I can confirm. In fact, I have those letters. If you could get me the folder with the letters in them, Liz, they're right in the previous office. I have the signed letters that went out to both South Korea and Japan today. And there will be approximately 12 other countries that will receive notifications and letters directly from the President of the United States. And weeks ago, I stood at this podium and I told all of you that the President was going to create tailor-made trade plans for each and every country on this planet. And that's what this administration continues to be focused on. The president will also sign an executive order today delaying the July 9th deadline to August 1st. So the reciprocal tariff rate or these new rates that will be provided in this correspondence to these foreign leaders will be going out the door within the next month, or deals will be made. And those countries continue to negotiate with the United States. We've seen a lot of positive developments in the right direction, but the administration, the president, and his trade team want to cut the best deals for the American people and the American worker. That's what they're focused on. And in the effort of transparency, these letters will continue to be posted to Truth Social, so you can enjoy them yourself. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Just about the visit of Prime Minister Netanyahu today, I was just wondering why that is not open to the press. Previous visits by him, we've had Oval Office press conferences. Does that reflect somehow the kind of sensitivity of this particular visit?
No, they're having a private dinner. There's many important matters that are obviously ongoing in the region, as you know. The utmost priority for the president right now in the Middle East is to end the war in Gaza and to return all of the hostages. Also, as you know, there was a ceasefire proposal that Israel supports that was sent to Hamas, and we hope that they will agree to this proposal. We want to see all of the hostages released. That's on the top of the president's mind, so that will be discussed, as well as the many other positive developments we've seen in the Middle East. I want to go back to the trade deals. As you see, we have these beautiful letters that the president has signed. This one is to the President of the Republic of Korea, original signature on that, and these will be mailed. And then here we also have another letter to the Prime Minister of Japan as well. Both countries will be receiving a 25% tariff rate effective on August 1st. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. You said it, and the President said it many times, you want to see an end to the war in Gaza. Will he give guarantees during this 60-day period of ceasefire that actually the war will end? Because this is a sticking point with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I'm wondering if they see eye to eye on this point. And how do you see the next day? What the next day in Gaza will look like?
Look, right now the president is focused on today and to get the Hamas to agree to this ceasefire. I don't want to comment on the details of the arrangement out of respect for these negotiations, but a agreeable and appropriate ceasefire proposal has been sent to Hamas. And I can also tell you Special Envoy Witkoff intends to travel to Doha later this week, where he will continue to engage in these discussions. And the Qataris and the Egyptians have been incredibly helpful partners in mediating these negotiations and discussions to bring peace to this region and end this conflict once and for all.
Kristen. Two questions. Thank you, Caroline. Sure. The first question is President Trump reconsidering his plan to phase out FEMA, given what officials have said is their critical role on the ground now in Texas?
Look, the president wants to ensure American citizens always have what they need during times of need, whether that assistance comes from states or the federal government. That's a policy discussion that will continue. And the president has always said he wants states to do as much as they can, if not more. And in the case of Texas, the state and local officials are doing a tremendous job. And I know the president, Secretary Noem, and the federal government are very proud to be working with them. And the president has promised to give Texas the assistance that they need during this tragic time.
Just one follow-up on cuts overall. Over the weekend, President Trump said that Elon Musk was a train wreck. Are there, given this current viewpoint, are there concerns within the White House or from the president himself over the cuts that happened under Musk while he was advising DOGE, including the National Weather Service?
I think I've already addressed that, Kristen, and what I can tell you is that these offices were fully staffed. The San Angelo office was fully staffed with 12 forecast meteorologists. There were no vacancies. The San Antonio office was operating with 11 forecasters. And as Brian said, the union themselves said that there was adequate staffing. So I think those words speak for themselves and the numbers speak for themselves. This was a once-in-a-century flash flood, a tragic natural disaster, and the administration is doing all that we can on the ground to help these families during this time of need. Jeff.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Just following up on Kristen's question, is it still the president's plan to phase FEMA out by the end of this year?
I just answered Kristen's question for you.
One more, hold on, one more.
Sure, I'll give it to you. Go ahead.
The follow-up on trade as well. 12 more letters coming, you said. Can you give us a sense of which countries those are?
I'll let the president reveal those in very due time. Keep your eyes on Truth Social. Michael, in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. An armed shooter today was shot in McAllen, Texas, after opening fire on Border Patrol agents. Comes just days after Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal recently said she gets, quote, inspired when activists obstruct ICE. Does the White House expect Democrats to tone down their rhetoric in light of what we saw today in McAllen, Texas?
We certainly call on Democrats to tone down their rhetoric against ICE and Border Patrol agents who, again, are everyday men and women. I would encourage AOC and other Democrats to actually meet with the United States Border Patrol. These are honorable Americans who are just simply trying to do their job to enforce the law. They go home to their families every night just like we all do, and they deserve respect and dignity for trying to enforce our nation's immigration laws and to remove public safety threats from our communities. The White House is aware of the shooting that took place today in Texas, and we are working with the appropriate federal agencies to get to the bottom of what happened.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration...
We're going to come back to that in a moment. We're going to get into I'm going to save this for the entire section we're going to devote to the Epstein client list story. But because we were just talking about Texas, the border, immigration, I'm going to come back to this. A couple of things related to immigration. So today, there was this story from California. This is kind of bizarre. I've never seen anything quite like this. They had National Guard troops sweeping through MacArthur Park in Los Angeles. So they've got, this is an area where you have a lot of immigrants who have settled. So I don't quite understand. This is bizarre to me. But they went through a playground and a park. So there are kids playing in there, and then they all scattered. So this is what it looked like. And this has sparked outrage in the community. And this appears to me to be some sort of a photo op, almost a staged thing, but it frightened people there. And there were kids playing in the park, and they all scattered as these National Guard troops came in. It's this is in Los Angeles. This is in a park in Los Angeles. Soldiers. I don't know what I can't imagine. I cannot imagine my community. I can't imagine soldiers going through the park in my neighborhood on horseback and in full military garb, camouflage garb, weapons, where kids are playing soccer field. I just the optics alone, just very striking and disturbing sign of our times. In addition to that, we have a lot of Canadians, I guess, who have been scooped up by ICE. There's this developing story involving a 45-year-old woman. I'm going to show you her picture. She has been living in the United States since she was 10 years old, but she's actually, I guess, Canadian, born in Canada, but went to the States back in the 90s, I guess, whatever. She's 45 now, so 35 years she's been living in the U.S. She's married to an American. This lady's name is Cynthia Oliveira. She's 45 years old, Canadian mother of 3 with U.S.-born children, and she is being held in ICE custody tonight. She's been in custody for at least several days after her arrest, June 13th, during a green card interview in Chatsworth, California. Now, she moved to the U.S. from Mississauga in Ontario, for our American viewers, when she was just 10 years old, previously deported in 1999, but then she re-entered illegally, which ICE calls a felony. Her husband, Francisco Olvera, a Trump supporter, told ABC 10 News in San Diego he's pleading for her release to return to Canada. Global Affairs Canada reports that 55 Canadians remain in ICE custody. And there is a petition circulating on change.org urging compassion for Oliveira's family. I have a feeling these folks might end up, the whole family. I would not be surprised at all if somehow they ended up in Canada, where people are just a little more lenient. So she comes back here, probably bringing her family with her. She's married to an American. If you're in Canada, you marry a Canadian, and you're pretty much going to be able to stay here in the country. And she, I don't think she has any criminal record. The husband, on the other hand, does have some sort of, I think, an issue with the law that I think he's paid for that or whatever it was. I don't think it was anything too major. I can't recall exactly what the charges were. I can probably find out for you here. But it's just another story of families. Just over time, it becomes a more complicated issue, because issues of compassion do come into play here, because this affects not just the mom, but the whole family and the kids who are American citizens. So it's just not that cut and dried. I know. People are like, oh, she entered illegally. Yeah, I know. But what about the kids? They're American, aren't they? Don't they need their mom? Little flexibility, maybe. Just saying. Anyway, I don't know. I do have this for you. This will maybe explain things in a little more detail. I've got I have the local news affiliate for ABC there with this report. So let's run that and get a little more depth on this.
A Canadian citizen arrested by ICE at her green card interview for being in the country illegally is desperate to get out of detention. She spent more than 25 years living in Southern California after driving through the San Diego border. Team 10 investigative reporter Austin Grabish has an exclusive interview with the mother of 3 and shows us the major regret her husband now has.
The only crime I committed is to love this country, is to work hard and to provide for my kids.
Through tears, wearing an ICE-issued uniform, Cynthia Oliveira begs the Canadian government for help.
I really do need their help. I don't want to be in here. This is not right.
The mother of 3 is currently being held by ICE at this detention center in El Paso, Texas, and has no idea when she will be deported to Canada.
I'm so desperate. I've gone to 4 different facilities, and every single facility I've gone in, I've told them I'll pay for my own flight. I'll pay for it.
She says her nightmare started on June 13th when she went to her green card interview at the immigration office in Chatsworth.
So yeah, she's been working down there. And of course, if you don't know what a green card is, it's a work permit. So that's what she was working toward. And I guess they were Trump supporters. Now they're saying they want their vote back. Yeah. Strange, isn't it? Trump supporter being deported, caught up by the big immigration monster, just like the Doge monster might come back and eat Elon. Yeah, that's going to cost him too, man. Like, it will, because Tesla relies heavily on government subsidies, mandates, tax breaks. That's what made Elon as rich as he is. Make no mistake of that. Oh, I've got the, I'll show you as well. I've got the statement from Homeland Security on the Oliveira case, and there are a bunch of others involving Canadians. On June 13th, 2025, ICE arrested Cynthia Ivana Oliveira, an illegal alien from Canada who was previously deported and chose to ignore our law and again illegally entered the country. The judge issued her a final order of removal in 1999, and she was deported to Canada that same. And then, anyway, you've got the story, so you know what that's all about. Okay, let's move on here. We're going to go to the true conspiracies thing. I'm gonna roll the Epstein stuff into that because it's just so conspiratorial that I just think it kind of belongs in there tonight. So, oh yeah, here's another lady. I'll just show you this. This is Paula Callejas from Montreal. She's also in ICE custody. So, Canadians being caught up in the ICE web of detainees. There she is. She's been in ICE custody for more than 3 months, charged with a misdemeanor in Florida. So, we'll continue to follow this. This is far from over. Let's take a break. We're going to come back with true conspiracies and the Epstein story. Don't go away.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, are you ready for true conspiracies? We have a number of stories tonight. Leading things off will be the Epstein story, which is just one of the stories so incredible you won't believe them. we're back, and we are in the Truspiracies segment of the program where we talk about conspiratorial kinds of things and try to get you a little closer to the truth while entertaining you a little bit and exploring some real world conspiratorial kinds of things. Not the least of which tonight is this Jeffrey Epstein story about, well, the Department of Justice and the FBI saying that the Epstein files just, well, the client list, apparently it doesn't exist. This has upset a lot of people who are saying, come on, what are you covering up? I remember, you may recall, I said, not that I want to toot my own horn, I'm just pointing out that I hate to say it, but I told you so. There are some of these big stories and narratives that that we've seen spun up by the MAGA set over the years that have really got, they've really jacked people up. A lot of people very upset, but a lot of these stories, and I said, now that he's back in office, a lot of these promises that have been kept about, revealing the truth and keep holding people accountable, bringing people to justice, a lot of these things, Trump's not going to live up to them. You're going to see a lot of these things are just going to suddenly fade away. The Epstein files, this is one of the main ones. Here's the Kim Iverson show tonight. She delves into a lot of the conspiratorial kind of things, along with a few other programs, especially over on Rumble. And this is the tone that is prevalent tonight.
Well, folks, it's official. The FBI has wrapped it all up for us, put a nice little bow on the whole thing, and declared there is no Epstein client list. Doesn't exist, never did, so stop asking. And if you think otherwise, you must be some sort of conspiracy theorist. The type that believes powerful men don't kill themselves in federal custody while under 24-hour surveillance. Crazy talk. And just like that, the Department of Justice wants to slam the door shut on what may be the biggest blackmail operation in modern history. Case closed. Epstein was a lone pervert. Ghislaine was just his quirky assistant. The cameras failed. The guards fell asleep. And all of those billionaires, politicians, and intelligence operatives who flew on the Lolita Express, yeah, don't worry about them. Totally unrelated. They think we're idiots. They think if they repeat, he killed himself enough times, we'll forget the obvious, that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset, likely Mossad, connected, running a honeypot operation to trap some of the most powerful people on the planet. And now the same agencies that helped cover it up are pretending to investigate themselves, and wouldn't you know it, they've cleared themselves of all wrongdoing. Imagine that. So let me read to you part of this very laughable FBI letter so you can hear for yourself just how stupid they think we are.
Okay, so I don't need her to read it because I have the letter myself, okay? So you can believe what you want to believe. Who the hell knows, sorry for my language, what the truth is at this point. Because we've heard just repeatedly over and over and over again from people like Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, that the Epstein client list is a real thing. The files, we're going to release all the files. And yet, now we're seeing, well, maybe not. It's so much different when you're in power, isn't it? Now, where are the files here? I've got them. Okay. And we have video as well. Okay. So DOJ, FBI conclude that Epstein had no client list and died by suicide. So here's the document. Okay, I've got it. Bring it over here so I don't lose it again. And let's bring it up on the screen. Let's see what the DOJ is actually saying in this statement, now released to the public. Here it is. Here's the letter. As part of our commitment to transparency, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted an exhaustive review of investigative holdings relating to Jeffrey Epstein. To ensure that the review is thorough, the FBI conducted digital searches of its databases, hard drives, and network drives, as well as physical searches of squad areas, locked cabinets, desks, closets, and other areas where responsive material may have been stored. These searches uncovered a significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. The files relating to Epstein include a large volume of images of Epstein, images and videos of victims who are either minors or appear to be minors, and over 10,000 downloaded videos and images of illegal child sex abuse material and other pornography. Teams of agents, analysts, attorneys, and privacy and civil liberties experts combed through the digital and documentary evidence with the aim of providing as much information as possible to the public while simultaneously protecting victims. Much of the material is subject to court-ordered sealing. Only a fraction of this material would have been aired publicly had Epstein gone to trial, as the seal served only to protect victims and did not expose any additional third parties to allegations of illegal wrongdoing. Through this review, we found no basis to revisit the disclosure of those materials and will not permit the release of child pornography. The systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Consistent with prior disclosures, this review confirmed that Epstein harmed over 1,000 victims. Each suffered unique trauma. Sensitive information relating to these victims is intertwined throughout the materials. This includes specific details such as victim names and likenesses, physical descriptions, places of birth, associates, and employment history. One of our highest priorities is combating child exploitation and bringing justice to victims. Perpetuating unfounded theories about Epstein serves neither of those ends. To that end, while we have labored to provide the public with maximum information regarding Epstein and ensured examination of any evidence in the government's possession, it is the determination of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. After a thorough investigation, FBI investigators concluded that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City on August 10th, 2019. This conclusion is consistent with the previous findings, including the August 19th, 2019 autopsy findings of the New York City Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, the November 2019 position of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York in connection with the investigation of federal correctional officers responsible for guarding Epstein, and the June 2023 conclusions of the DOJ's Office of the Inspector General. The conclusion that Epstein died by suicide is further supported by video footage from the common area of the Special Housing Unit, where Epstein was housed at the time of his death. We have video for you in a moment of this. As DOJ's Inspector General explained in 2023, anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the SHU common area would have been captured by this footage. The FBI's independent review of this footage confirmed that from the time Epstein was locked in his cell at around 10:40 p.m. on August 9th, 2019, until around 6:30 a.m. the next morning, nobody entered any of the tiers in the SHU. During this review, the FBI enhanced the relevant footage by increasing its contrast, balancing the color, and improving its sharpness for greater clarity and viewability. The full raw and enhanced videos are available, and we have that video for you right now. Let's bring that up on the screen for you. Here it is. It's not really anything spectacular. It's just security camera footage. It's lengthy. It appears to be somewhat unedited, enhanced but not edited. At least that's what I'm I was able to take from it as I looked at it today and reviewed it. Hours of footage here, actually. 10 hours, 52 minutes, and 23 seconds. 10, 52, 23. That's the total length of time. So this is 10 hours of security camera footage. It all basically looks like this. Here, we'll skip ahead. 3 hours in. It's pretty exciting, isn't it? Yeah, it's just an empty hall. Nah. Believe what you will, I suppose. Nothing much to see there. For whatever that's worth, the problem is that you have Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, who have been on the record many times promising to release all these files on Epstein, saying that, that there's where there's smoke, there's absolutely fire, convincing people that, there's a very serious issue involving pedophilia, scandal, world leaders, anti-Semitic conspiratorialism, blaming everything on Israel and Mossad. Believe what you want, I suppose. It's a big blackmail ring. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's why it's Truspiracies tonight. That's why I put it in here, because I have no freaking idea. And nobody else does either, except I think the people who have all the investigative materials. Keep in mind here that this is what Dan Bongino said before. This is what we were hearing from Bongino, Patel, Bondi, others.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal.
Now that he's the assistant deputy, the assistant deputy FBI director, that's his position under Kash Patel. Now the story's different. Oh no, he killed himself. He committed suicide. But before, he was sure. Oh, I don't know. Here's more footage of that. This is just back to the immigration thing. Here, I've just got this video here. So this is the ABC affiliate in LA talking about what happened in that park today.
We have breaking news here. This is in MacArthur Park. Scott Reif is in Air 7 HD. And Scott, we have a lot going on. We haven't seen much in the way of detentions at this point, but we see a lot of confrontation. What are you seeing?
Absolutely. There's a lot of activity and a big deployment here, bigger than we've really seen in the past for the most part. You see the armored vehicle traveling right through MacArthur Park right now. You see a lot of people trying to antagonize them, if you will, coming up to the vehicle, stopping it, and LAPD has just responded. It looks like LAPD is going to be involved in some crowd control. You see them there on the bottom of your screen, but we'll push back into the armored vehicles. One of the things that is so difficult, these agents are not identified. You can't tell if it's ICE. You can't tell if it is National Guard. We we had a convoy of National Guard vehicles go through here a few moments ago, and they left. We have 4 or 5 bands standing by as well, and then all the other unmarked vehicles. You can see the crowd is getting closer and closer to what could be ICE agents. We don't know that for certain, but in the past when we've seen this type of activity, that is what it has been. But as you mentioned, we haven't seen anyone detained. We haven't seen these agents go out into the crowd and try and grab anyone, and it looks like now they may be moving through. Interestingly enough, earlier we had a report that Mayor Bass was here for a short period of time, and then we believe she left. Whether she just stumbled across this or she planned to come here and let people know that ICE may be involved in this activity. If it is ICE, is unclear. But certainly there's a lot of activity here, and you could tell a lot of the crowd is getting extremely close to these vehicles, and that's a problem, and that's why LAPD has responded. It looks like they're...
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I'll let it roll a little bit longer.
Thankfully try and make sure the crowd does not get too close to some of those vehicles. Usually LAPD does not assist, but they will be involved in crowd control, and that appears to be what is happening.
Scott, again, we're looking at this. We don't exactly know why these federal agents are here. And we don't actually know exactly what agency they're with, correct?
That is correct. It makes it extremely difficult when they are not identified. We don't see anything on the armored vehicle. We don't see any of the other vehicles marked with identification, just police. Nothing but police, no specific agency, no FBI. And it looks like now they are rolling through and leaving. We don't believe any detentions or arrests were made. We didn't see anything like that. But it was interesting. They have a Black Hawk helicopter, DHS's Homeland Security's helicopter, is overhead. LAPD did respond. They rolled through, and then they just left. But at one point in time, there was probably as many as 30 National Guard vehicles that drove through the streets. And boy, to see that on our streets, it's the first time I've really seen that many National Guard vehicles. I mean, large vehicles. They're big vehicles strolling through the neighborhood, down through our streets. That was certainly unusual. It looks like whatever activity is going on now is dissipating. It appears that they are leaving, and it looks like LAPD may be leaving as well.
Okay. Trump's America. Wow. Just wow. So, yeah, back to the Epstein stuff. A lot of MAGA types pretty upset about the Epstein client list not being released. And Trump's team having their feet held to the fire on this. Let's go back to the White House, where this was again a major story today. Here's Levitt being asked about it.
Respect and dignity for trying to enforce our nation's immigration laws and to remove public safety threats from our communities. The White House is aware of the shooting that took place today in Texas, and we are working with the appropriate federal agencies to get to the bottom of what happened.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
Okay. Thanks, Caroline. With Prime Minister Netanyahu...
Good job deflecting there, Caroline, and changing the subject to get the heat off. But a lot of people are going to keep the heat on because they're convinced that now they think maybe you're hiding something. Maybe Kash Patel is hiding something. Maybe Dan Bongino's hiding something or protecting someone, right? Maybe. What was it that, Elon Musk said that, he call out Donald Trump at one point and then later said that, oh, maybe I went too far, but then still posting this over the past, 24, 48 hours, I believe. So this is what he's got on his feed. What did he say? He says, the official Jeffrey Epstein pedophile arrest counter, 0000. On his on his own personal feed on X, Elon Musk says, what was it? Oh yeah, what's the time? Oh look, he says, it's no one has been arrested o'clock again. There it is right there. I'll bring it back up. Oh look, he says, yeah. Right there, there's the thing. What time? What's the time? Oh look, it's no one has been arrested o'clock again. So when they were trying to tear down the previous administration, it was they're hiding something. Now they're in charge, and suddenly the client list doesn't even exist. Just disappears. Alex Jones is one of those who's not going to let this thing go. What did he say today? I think he said he was sick to his stomach, if I remember correctly. I've got, let's see if I can find, here it is right here. And he said, I'm going to go throw up, as he breaks down in tears. Right here. Show ya. I don't know if any of you watch Alex Jones. I haven't seen the clip myself, but I know that this is what's being reported. Let me share it with you. There we go. I'm going to go throw up. Alex Jones breaks down in tears while condemning Trump over Epstein cover-up. Bring some of this down off the screen. Conspiracy theorist, it says here on Mediaite. Alex Jones broke down in tears in a video of himself reacting to a new Trump administration memo about Jeffrey Epstein, asserting that a systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. Continued the memo. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. After speculating that FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino are being tortured when they toe the administration's line publicly, quote, I think you see them losing their souls on live TV. Jones became emotional.
Well, I woke up this morning and turned my phone on, and there were hundreds of text messages saying, oh my God, the DOJ just put out a letter that I know you've all seen now, saying there is no Epstein client list. There never was any blackmail. operation. Epstein killed himself, and the investigation's closed. So everybody wants to know what I think. Well, I know what's going on. And so I'll tell you. Trump had two ways to go with all of this. He could prosecute all of these incredibly prominent people, household names, or they could use the information to blackmail the deep state. I've done deep research, have a lot of contacts, and know Trump's MO. And he's not into kids, he's not into being peed on, and Russian hotels, all that was lies. We now know from the CIA and Brennan and the very crew running the Epstein operation. But the reason that you are seeing this deep sixth is because the CIA with the Mossad and MI6 was running Epstein, and it was an official U.S. government operation, multinational. And it was the family business going back to Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, and that's all on record. So if Trump was to actually prosecute this, it would bring down the CIA. And so that's why you've had Comey, who controlled the files over at the FBI with the CIA, but on that end of the DOJ, having his daughter do all the main cover-ups, not just with the Epstein and Maxwell case, but obviously P. Diddy and the rest of it. So this is the swamp winning. The question is Trump's DOJ actually using this to control the deep state? Or are they just so overwhelmed by it, they are tapping out? Because, let me explain logic here. And from all obvious inside sources, we're the ones that broke with the FBI whistleblowers, O'Boyle and others, Seraphin, all of this that was first unfolding, 5 months ago when they were supposed to, have this 14 terabytes. They'd sent it out to the FBI field offices for investigation. And Pam Bondi went on Fox a bunch of times. So did some U.S. attorneys from New Jersey and said, oh, yeah, we've seen it, hundreds of new victims and videos and all this horrible stuff, kids being raped. Hundreds of new victims, we're going to be releasing it. So you wouldn't say all that if you were planning to cover it up from the beginning. So something has changed along the way, and it all points towards this being used to blackmail the deep state. I'm not endorsing it. I think clearly this is what Musk learned about a few months ago and looked like he aged 10 years overnight, looked completely freaked out. And then I think through conscience had to come out and say what he said. I mean, even people like Cat Turd, who is just the quintessential will not question anything in the Trump administration, is completely freaked out now. I mean, no one is buying this. Patrick McDavid's had really good breakdowns of it all. Jack Posobiec said, okay, so Ghislaine Maxwell is innocent because she was found guilty of sex trafficking. So how do you say there's no trafficking or blackmail or any of this? It's just absolute horseshit on its face, and it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Trump is doing a lot of good, and obviously the deep state's trying to destroy me for supporting him. It's been hell, and a lot of good's happening. I'll say this. This is very, very painful and nauseating. I'm actually physically nauseated in the last 3 hours since I got up and just trying to collate this. And of course, I instantly knew what was happening when I saw the information. I've talked about the different scenarios here. Obviously, there's nothing the globalists wouldn't do to keep this from coming out. They've already tried to kill Trump repeatedly. Had they rolled over? I see a lot of signs that, Trump's pretty much in charge now. And so all evidence points towards them using the information to control the deep state. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss. The Who song won't get fooled again. But I'm going to say this in closing. I'll be covering it all today at 11 a.m. Central when my show kicks off at Infowars.com/show and right here on X and the radio stations across the country. We are seeing 96% reduction in smuggling of humans across the border. They have raided a lot of people.
Got to defend Trump.
Human traffickers. They have saved a lot of kids. It's in the federal filings, but they're little kids, so you don't see their names in the news. Mm-hmm. That's the way that works.
I see.
Because they're juveniles. That's, the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of missing kids, millions of kids total. And so I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but at the same time, the fact that, this is a key, the fact that they didn't just shut up about this, even though they were going to use it for blackmail, or it was too dangerous, seismically for the system to bring it out. And I'm not defending that. I'm saying that would be the thinking. You don't then have Kash Patel and Bongino like deer in the headlights, looking like they're hostages, saying, "Oh no, we've seen everything. There's nothing there. No, he killed himself," and put out this stupid video from outside the cell bay with cops dragging trash cans around, going, "Look, this proves he killed himself." You don't do all that unless it's part of a deal with the system that you've got to go out and say that so that you're not complicit in the lie. And that's why they look like they're being tortured, because I think both men have had integrity, and I think you see them losing their souls on live TV. This is going to be an unmitigated disaster. I don't know how they got Trump and the DOJ to do this, because the public is not buying it. No one is buying it. So I never saw any evidence of Trump involved in any of the stuff that came out. It was all fake, the fake Jane Does, all the crap, E. Jean Carroll, the crazy leftist cat lady, all of it. So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. It's because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out. And, the left, they're all complicit. They're openly promoting pedophilia. We know they're pure evil. And they'll think it's all funny. Oh, look, Alex is sad. MAGA's tearing itself apart. Your globalist masters literally want you to eat bugs and live in a 5G, 200 square foot coffin apartment. Look at the left. Look at them all posing with their Pfizer shots, looking like dead zombies. I mean, come on. You guys are sick. And so you shouldn't look at those of us that have a soul still and have integrity in pain over this and celebrate, you dumb pieces of fucking shit. You're going against your own self-preservation, serving this evil globalist system in BlackRock and the New World Order and Hakeem Jeffries and all the rest of it. So I'm just processing this right now. I don't know on what planet Trump is doing all this good stuff in the real world and still being demonized by the corporate media and constant lies like, oh, there was no weather alert for flash floods in Texas by the National Weather Service. There was the day before and over 500 times. It's just constant lies. I need to defend Trump. He's being lied about.
Oh.
And then this type of shit happens. I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's just, it's beyond insane. You couldn't try to hurt yourself worse. You couldn't try to discredit the FBI worse than what they've done. Pam Bondi, all of it. All those videos are saying, yeah, she's seen the videos. It's all coming out. And then now it doesn't exist. I mean, what?
Well, they're doing it, man. How do you defend it?
11 a.m. today, I'll be covering it. And no matter where this information goes, I'll always report the truth.
Yeah, right. Okay, whatever. Over here, everything to see, folks. They're hiding it all. Now they're in charge, and it's nothing to see here, folks. It doesn't exist. I told you they were not going to be able to deliver on this. You can decide for yourself why. The reality is, in this Truspiracy episode, what is true is, I don't know. But they've lost credibility. Any way you slice it, Bongino, Kash Patel, Donald Trump, even Alex Jones, No credibility. None left. Why? Because they've made this prediction. They've made these accusations repeatedly. They've driven people crazy with this stuff. Very emotional, jacked up, right? Using it for political purposes to obtain power, to tear down the deep state. Now they're in charge. The client list now doesn't exist. Pam Bondi said she had it on her desk. Now Caroline Levitt saying, oh, no, well, she just meant all the files. No, she said specifically she had the client list on her desk. Did she? Or did she just want to so badly that and was so convinced herself that this was a real thing that she had the client list? Now, that being said, in the release today, they're saying that they have thousands of hours of crimes involving pedophilia on videotape. So I believe that. I believe that they have video evidence of actual crimes being committed. But, the key here is who's responsible? Who was there? Where's the client list? Even that being said, if you have thousands of hours of videos, well, then who's in the videos? Who's committing the crimes? Who has been held accountable? Who has been arrested? And as Elon Musk points out, 0 people. So am even I buying it? I'm not buying it. People went to that island. It was obviously a sex playground for the rich, famous, and powerful. And now suddenly, case closed, no arrests, no names. Name the names. And who's in charge? Trump and MAGA. And they're not doing anything about it. Doesn't that just steam you? I don't know. I don't know how you live with yourself after you do. But I guess some people just don't have a conscience or any ethics. Because if they were making these accusations and they were baseless, then they're guilty of doing something unethical on that side. If their accusations before were accurate, truthful, if they were right, and now they're in power, now they're lying, in which case they still have no credibility. Either way, they've lost all their credibility with me. You don't do that. You don't lie here and you don't lie there. But one way or another, they're lying about stuff. They're lying. They were lying before, or they're lying now. Either way, they were lying. And that ain't cool, because I had nothing I despise more than a liar. As you know, I don't like it when people lie. Getting it wrong, that's one thing. They could come out and say, I got it wrong. I guess that's kind of what they're saying. But you shouldn't have been making such... You shouldn't have been making accusations with that degree of confidence and telling people that you had the truth when maybe you didn't. Or if you did, then you need to be... You see what I'm saying? So they have no credibility. They were just not cool. Predictions not coming true. Which brings me to our next story in this Truspiracies episode. In fact, before we get to this, let me just play this clip. Since this is kind of fun, some people may take this seriously. Personally, I don't. This is from Skywatch Signal. David Adair, teenage rocket scientist, who says he touched an alien engine at Area 51. He says, what if I told you the U.S. military had a symbiotic fusion engine not built by humans, and they brought in a 17-year-old to figure out how it worked? Well, this is the guy. Let me show you this clip. This is just something I picked up from one of these conspiratorial social media accounts on Twitter. I'll just play the clip. You can take from it what you want, any way you want.
There are about 61 different rocket engines of propulsion systems that you could leave this planet with. 2 of them are just a solid and liquid fuel. I happen to just pick one out of the other 61 engines to pick from. I manufactured a magnetic fusion containment engine, which in simple essence is able to create a magnetic field capable of holding a thermal fusion reaction inside, like a chunk of the sun contained in a magnetic bottle. And when you tap that power, it allows you to have tremendous thrust, which is what makes the rocket go forward. There are about...
Well, I guess we're going to Mars. And you don't need to worry about your rocket blowing up if you're using magnetism to propel you. Here's what they were saying on Fox News, I guess. Here's Pam Bondi. Yeah, here's the Pam Bondi lies, as they're putting it, related to the Epstein files. We'll just pivot back to that for a moment. Okay, Pam, take it away.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
Mm-hmm. Not yet. Even the JFK files, everybody, what came out of all of that after all that time? And then those files came out, and I said before, it won't matter if they release every single file, which they say they have. People won't believe it. Even if the truth is right in front of your face, if all the information is there and you have the truth, people will still not know for sure because so many conspiracies have been spun up surrounding the JFK story, the assassination. And that's exactly what's happened. The release of those files turned out to be something of a great big anticlimactic nothing burger. Another big anticlimactic nothing burger was this July 4th conspiracy. Oh, before I do that, just want to show you this because, hey, why not? Since we're in the true conspiracies, this is true, but it certainly contributes to the whole conspiratorial conspiracy surrounding Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Because, hey, what would this story be if I didn't show you a picture of Trump with Epstein? There you go. That'll fuel more speculation. Trump's been good at that especially since he came down that escalator. Now, you familiar with Dr. David Martin? Yeah, this guy made a big prediction. It's going back to July 4th. It was his prediction that he made before. Let me just get my notes on this here so I kind of get things straight. So there's this study that came out, or this plan, I guess. And he's really kind of discredited himself, and I would say even disgraced himself. Dr. David Martin. A lot of people followed this guy during the pandemic. So I'm just looking for my notes on him. Here we go here. So yeah. So he made these claims and they were widely circulated, and at least one person sent it to me. And actually, this is why I took note of this story. It's because somebody sent me a message telling me about this prediction from Dr. David Martin, and it's all related. And they said, you should report on this. He says, I I sent this to all the other indie media, and you're the last one, and I'm sending it to you. Almost like a, hey, if you don't report on this, then obviously you're part of the problem, and you're part of the cover up or whatever it is. Well, okay, you can suggest that, I suppose, if you want to, or whatever the message was meant to be, but I've got nothing to do with it, man. All right. And I didn't report on it because I saw no basis in fact, and it was all speculation, and it's all related to this thingy here. Let me show you. I've got it here for you now. This is the National Blueprint for Biodefense. There it is. Immediate action needed to defend against biological threats. So Dr. David Martin predicted a bioterror attack on July 4th, Independence Day of this year, claiming it would kill 280,000 Americans in a single day based on this bipartisan commission on biodefense, this report that I have up on the screen. So what happened? Nothing, not a damn thing. That's why I didn't report on it, because this is like a theoretical scenario. It's an exercise. That's all this is, as they sort of prepare for the worst and hope for the best. But when you spin this stuff up now, or even just by trying to prepare for any kind of a disaster, you run the risk of people getting a hold of the emergency plan and saying this is the plan, right? Because we've seen that with event 201, where the plan seemed to come true, and you can say, well, then that was the plan. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. There's a conspiracy, a true conspiracy. Well, let's bring up this here. This is Dr. David Martin making the prediction, which I did not report on because I just didn't want to fearmonger.
There is a plan that involves the murder of 280,000 Americans on a single day. And the best part of it is they're going to blame a foreign actor for it, except for a tiny little problem. Yeah, if you hop down to page 9 of that National Blueprint for Biodefense, Seth, and highlight the first major paragraph under the U.S. House of Representatives. Let's go ahead, for the sake of everybody on here, make sure that we read it. We were attacked, and we don't know who did the attack, but the infectious agent they used killed 280,000 Americans and infected at least 400,000 throughout the country on a single day, in addition to 200,000 dead and 800,000 sickened animals. Now, if you scroll up for a moment, Seth, and keep going until I tell you to stop, just keep scrolling. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. What you're going to find when you get to this page, oh, there you go. Look at ex officio members. If you look at the ex officio members of this particular committee, there are two names that I want to call your attention to: Gerald W. Parker and George Post. Those names are names that people should be familiar with, but they are not. These are veterinary scientists and gain-of-function scientists who have done an enormous amount of work in a variety of pathogens. George Post famously was very much involved in the Arizona contribution to the gain-of-function research that brought us COVID-19 and all of those kinds of things. And here we have the same actors. In this case, we have the ability to go into their research and find out what kind of pathogen would go after humans and animals on the same day. How do we figure out what that is? And it turns out that there are a bunch of options. Nipah virus is what they refer to in this scenario, but equine encephalitis, which is a huge gain-of-function problem, is something that these guys have been familiar with. And there are several other pathogens that these guys have been working with. And the fact is that they're telling us that on July 4th, on the celebration of the 249th year of America in its formation, we are going to allegedly have a biological weapons attack. And do you realize, Seth, that not a single person in law enforcement, not a single person in the White House, not Bobby Kennedy at HHS, not a Tulsi Gabbard at the DNI, not a single person is actually taking an action to interdict the actors that I'm talking about. This is not a problem that happened during the Biden non-presidency. This is a thing that is a statement of intent to once again take advantage of human dynamics.
So
where we
A statement of intent. He said that 280,000 people would die on July 4th, one day, as a result of this bioterror attack. It did not happen. Dr. David Martin discredited himself, and disgraced himself. He has no credibility. Zero. It is irresponsible to make those kinds of predictions. It is irresponsible to fearmonger like that. And that is exactly what he was doing. Clickbait, social media views. And he got a lot. It did spread far and wide. Sent to me, Rick, you better report on this, or you're obviously part of the whatever, the deep state, whatever. I mean, literally, that's the tone that I kind of took from the message that was sent to me by the person who sent it to me, who shall remain nameless. But I think they are living in fear themselves. In fact, the people I'm finding who keep saying that, it's your government trying to kill you. It's those people over there using fear to control you. Those are the people who are using fear the most. I'm not saying the government doesn't use fear to control us. We certainly saw that during the pandemic. That was one of the tools they used to get people to get the thingy in the arm. But the people on the other side don't know they're the masters. You just don't realize it. Because when they're deflecting, you see, they're accusing the other side of doing that. So you don't realize that they're the ones doing it even more. Dr. David Martin, Dr. Doom, absolutely 100,000% wrong. And it's not the only thing he's been wrong about. He's been using fear to generate clicks, views for a long time. And now some of these people who enjoyed massive views during the pandemic, they're trying to remain relevant in some way. So that biodefense report, that is an emergency planning scenario. It doesn't mean they're going to do it to you. And Event 201, kind of weird, got to admit. But I've seen a lot of emergency plans, and I'll tell you this, the vast majority, almost all of them, frankly, during the pandemic, were thrown into the dustbin. They didn't follow the plans. That was the problem during the pandemic. They took the plans that normally would be used, where you would quarantine people or have people self-quarantine. If they became ill, you stay home. If you get the flu or COVID, that would have been the plan normally. You stay home, and if you're well, you can still go to work. That would have been the plan. But no, that's not what we did. They took those plans and threw them in the trash bin. And then they locked everybody down, including all the healthy people. Everybody's locked down. Everything stops. Well, except for those people in Costco and the marijuana store and the liquor store. It was crazy. And we all remember what we went through. But the last thing we need right now is more fear mongering and more BS. See, this is the thing. They didn't follow the emergency plans, not the real ones during the pandemic. They did the opposite. Everything was upside down, and everything has been upside down ever since. But this wasn't a plan, like not a real plan to do it to you. This was the scenario, and then they had the defense plan against it. No, it didn't happen July 4th. 280,000 people didn't die. And you can try to justify whatever he was trying to do there any way you want, but that's the prediction he made. That's what he said. And I even waited a few days. It's now July 7th. So we've, 3 days later, and still nothing. Nothing. So, yeah. Oddly, strangely, Dr. David Martin, you know what else he recently weighed in on and added his voice to, and the weight of his credibility? Oh, yeah, the ostrich farm story out in Edgewood, British Columbia. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
All these true conspiracy stories make me long for the before times. As complicated and as chaotic as they were even then, they were better than they are now. And I am not seeing things get better, frankly, under Donald J. Trump. As I said before, during his first presidency, I thought there's something maybe Reagan-esque about Trump. Little less government, little lower taxes, maybe, fewer government regulations, maybe paving the way toward prosperity. And it seemed like the economy was getting better, but we certainly didn't have the tariff issue like we have now, tariff attacks, with Trump attacking every country in the world, as you heard tonight. And even with all his flaws, Ronald Reagan, I'll tell you, that guy seems today to be just way more mainstream, middle of the road, traditional kind of conservative to me. And I kind of I wonder, where's Ronald Reagan today? the Ronald Reagan. Where do we find a Ronald Reagan today to bring back the America that I remember? Well, I don't know. An America where you didn't have soldiers running through the streets, tracking down people, throwing them on planes and deporting them to a gulag in El Salvador, selling T-shirts for alligator Alcatraz, mocking the suffering of people who are vulnerable. Maybe they're here illegally, maybe they deserve to be deported, but they're still human beings. I don't know. Reagan got some things wrong, also got a lot of things right. I'll leave you with this tonight. This throwback to Ronald Reagan.
You can go to live in France, but you cannot become a Frenchman. You can go to live in Germany or Turkey or Japan, but you cannot become a German, a Turk, or Japanese. But anyone from any corner of the earth can come to live in America and become an American. Yes, the torch of Lady Liberty symbolizes our freedom and represents our heritage, the compact with our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors. It is that lady who gives us our great and special place in the world. For it's the great life force of each generation of new Americans that guarantees that America's triumph shall continue unsurpassed into the next century and beyond. Other countries may seek to compete with us, but in one vital area, as a beacon of freedom and opportunity that draws the people of the world, no country on earth comes close. This, I believe, is one of the most important sources of America's greatness. We lead the world because, unique among nations, we draw our people, our strength, from every country and every corner of the world. And by doing so, we continuously renew and enrich our nation. While other countries cling to the stale past, here in America, we breathe life into dreams, we create the future, and the world follows us into tomorrow. Thanks to each wave of new arrivals to this land of opportunity, we're a nation forever young, forever bursting with energy and new ideas, and always on the cutting edge, always leading the world to the next frontier. This quality is vital to our future as a nation. If we ever closed the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would soon be lost.
Here's to bringing back America. Love you guys. See you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. On the flip side.
Down in the heart of Dixie, where the rivers meet the land, there's a whisper on the wind, a call to take a stand. We're rolling out of town with our boots up on the floor, searching for the freedom that we've been longing for. We're riding on the open road with the stars as a guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, wide with foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. Got my guitar in the back and a flag flying high, we're singing songs of glory under the big old sky. From the south to the north, from the east to the west, we're on a mission to put our nation to the test. We're riding on the open road with the stars as a guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, wide with foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. There's a fire in our hearts, a flame that won't die. We're the sons and daughters of the red, white, and sky. But every mile we travel with our boots up on the floor, we're healing the land and making freedom ring. We've seen the cities, we've felt the country's pain, but we're not giving up, we've got so much to gain. With our hands on the wheel and our eyes on the prize, we're gonna lift this nation back to the skies. We're riding on the open road with with the stars as a guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans while we foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. So here's to the journey, here's to the fight for the land of the free and the home of the light. With our boots on the ground and our hearts in the sky, we'll keep on rolling till freedom never dies. To the journey, here's to the fight for the land of the free and the home of the light. With our boots on the ground and our hearts in the sky, we'll keep on rolling till freedom never dies. We're riding on the open road with the stars as our guide, restoring pride in America with every mile we ride. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans while we foam, we're saving America, bringing freedom back home. We're healing never dies, we're healing never dies.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.